In March 2026, China unveiled its 15th five-year plan, a list of 28 megaprojects for the next 5 years. On the list, the fastest train in history, domestically produced jet engines, controlled nuclear fusion, reusable heavy rockets, and lunar expeditions. This is not science fiction. This is an official state document approved by the country's highest legislative body. But here is what astonishes beyond the figures and lists. Behind each of these projects stands a place, a canyon deeper than the Grand Canyon, where the largest dam on the planet is being built. A desert that has been encircled by a ring of living trees. China is not simply building records, it is building the future, and doing so in places that are themselves mysteries. Today, 7 such projects. Stay to the end. The last one will change the way the entire world thinks about water. On the 19th of July 2025, a groundbreaking ceremony took place in Tibet. It was led by Premier Li Chang. The project was officially named the Project of the Century. The Motuo Dam is being built on the Yarlung Tsangpo River, at the point where it makes a giant U-shaped bend around Mount Namcha Barwa. At this bend, the river drops 2,000 meters in elevation within just 50 kilometers. This is one of the most powerful elevation drops of any river on Earth. 5 cascading dams. 4 tunnels, each 20 kilometers long, drilled through Mount Namcha Barwa. Generating capacity, 60,000 megawatts. Annual output, 300 billion kilowatt hours. Cost, $168 billion. Estimated completion, 2033. This is 3 times more powerful than the Three Gorges Dam, the current world record holder. In terms of generation output, this is roughly equal to all the electricity consumed by the United Kingdom in a year, from a single point. But here is what makes this location exceptional. The Yarlung Tsangpo is the longest and deepest river canyon in the world. Deeper than the Grand Canyon, deeper than the Cotahuasi Canyon in Peru. Here, the canyon walls rise several kilometers above the river. This is a place that was practically impossible to reach until the 2000s. So completely is it isolated by mountains. It is here that China is building the largest hydraulic structure in the history of humanity. Beneath Mount Namcha Barwa, in Tibetan tradition, lies one of the most sacred sites in Tibet. 4 tunnels, each 20 kilometers long, will be drilled directly through its base. Engineers are working in a zone of extremely high seismic activity. The Indian subcontinent is pressing against the Eurasian plate right here, pushing the Himalayas upward by several centimeters per year. In June and July of 2023, tests were conducted in Fujian province. The result? 453 kilometers per hour on real tracks. This is a world record for a train with wheels on rails. Without magnetic levitation, without vacuum tunnels. The CR450 is the next generation of Chinese high-speed trains. The cruising speed in commercial operation is planned at 400 kilometers per hour. At that speed, the distance from Beijing to Shanghai, nearly 1,300 kilometers, the train will cover in approximately 2.5 hours. For comparison, the fastest train in Europe, the French TGV, operates on commercial routes at around 320 kilometers per hour. Japan's Shinkansen, 320 kilometers per hour. The CR450 is faster than both of them by 25%. But here is what is particularly interesting from an engineering standpoint. To reach 453 kilometers per hour, the development team completely rethought the aerodynamics of the train. The nose of the train became longer for smoother air displacement. The wheels were redesigned. The suspension systems were reworked to absorb vibration at peak speeds. By 2025, the total length of China's high-speed rail network exceeded 47,000 kilometers. This is more than the combined length of high-speed networks of all other countries in the world put together. In April 2017, China announced the creation of a new city 100 kilometers southwest of Beijing in Hebei province. Area, approximately 2,000 square kilometers. Projected population, several million people. Xiong'an is not an ordinary satellite city. It is an architectural experiment on a national scale. It is being built on a principle not yet applied at such scale, the 15-minute life circle. Every facility of daily life, a shop, a school, a hospital, a park, a transit stop, must be accessible to any resident on foot or by bicycle within 15 minutes. No endless commutes across the entire city. No districts without infrastructure. Beneath the city, an extensive network of underground tunnels is being built for freight transport, utility lines, and vehicles, so that the surface remains pedestrian. All logistics go underground. By 2025, the first government agencies from Beijing had relocated to Chang'an. Residential districts, university campuses, and business centers had been built. As of 2026, the permanent population has exceeded 500,000 people. The site was not chosen by chance. Located here is the Baiyangdian wetland system, the largest wetlands in northern China. The new city is being built around this natural system, integrating it into the urban environment. Parks, water channels, waterfront zones. Taklamakan, one of the largest sandy deserts in the world, 337,000 square kilometers. That is larger than the area of Germany. The name in Uyghur translates as, "Once you go in, you won't come out." Or, according to another version, the place of abandoned palaces. In November 2024, China announced the ring of trees around the Taklamakan had closed completely. The total length of this living ring is approximately 3,046 kilometers. The width of the tree planting belt ranges from several hundred meters to several kilometers. It incorporates specially bred drought-resistant species of trees and shrubs adapted to desert conditions. This is part of a larger project, the 3 North Shelter Belt Forest Program, begun back in 1978. By 2050, China plans to plant more than 100 billion trees, creating a forest protection barrier approximately 4,500 kilometers long along the country's northern borders. The motivation is pragmatic. The expansion of deserts threatens agricultural land. Dust storms from the Gobi and Taklamakan cover Beijing and other major cities with yellow sand every year. The shelter belts slow the advance of the desert and hold back the dust. The scale is hard to grasp. A living ring around a desert the size of Germany. For the first time in human history, an entire desert has been enclosed in a ring of trees. In the Chinese city of Hefei, a facility operates that has rewritten world records several times over the past few years. EAST, Experimental Advanced Superconducting Tokamak, China's nuclear fusion reactor. In January 2025, it held plasma at a temperature of 100 million degrees Celsius for 1,066 seconds, nearly 18 minutes of continuous burning. 100 million degrees. That is 7 times hotter than the core of the sun. It is precisely at this temperature that thermonuclear fusion reactions begin, the same reactions that power the stars. If scientists can sustain such plasma for long enough, and with sufficient stability, humanity will gain access to a source of virtually unlimited clean energy. The fuel for such a reactor consists of hydrogen isotopes that can be obtained from ordinary water. The previous world record, also held by EAST, was 403 seconds, achieved in 2023. In 2 years, Chinese scientists more than doubled the plasma confinement time. In the 15th five-year plan for 2026 to 2030, controlled thermonuclear fusion is included on the list of primary national technological breakthroughs. China intends to be the first country in the world to build a working fusion power plant. This is a project that Mao Zedong was already dreaming of in 1952. At the time, he said, "In the south, there is plenty of water. In the north, there is little. If it were possible to take a little water from the south, that would be a good thing." It took half a century to turn that idea into reality. The South-North Water Transfer Project was officially launched in 2002. Planned completion, 2050. Total length of canals, tunnels, and pipelines, approximately 4,350 kilometers. That is the distance from London to Tehran. The project comprises 3 routes. The eastern route uses the old Grand Canal, one of the oldest artificial waterways in the world, built back in the 7th century. The central route runs tunnels and canals through the Qinling mountain range. The western route, the most ambitious, requires the construction of tunnels through the Tibetan Plateau. Annual volume of water transferred, planned at up to 44.8 billion cubic meters. For comparison, This is approximately 1/3 of the annual flow of the Nile. The already operating routes supply drinking water to more than 100 million people in Beijing and other cities of northern China. Before 2014, in some parts of Beijing, groundwater was being depleted faster than it was being replenished. The project effectively prevented a water crisis in the capital. The central route passes through the Qinling Mountain watershed, a mountain system that in Chinese tradition is considered the backbone of China. Historically, it divided the country into north and south, climatically, culturally, linguistically. Now, water flows through this boundary in the opposite direction. In the mountains of Guizhou province, in a perfectly shaped karst basin, lies a metal mirror 500 meters in diameter. This is FAST, the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope, the largest single-dish radio telescope in the world. It opened in 2016. Mirror area, 196,000 square meters. That is approximately 30 football pitches. The site for the telescope was not chosen by chance. In the mountains of Guizhou, there are more than 100 natural karst basins of suitable shape, bowl-shaped. For FAST, the perfect one was selected. Diameter, depth, geology, and distance from radio interference all converged in a single point. To build the telescope, approximately 9,000 residents of neighboring villages were relocated to create a radio-silent zone within a radius of 5 kilometers. By 2025, FAST had discovered more than 900 pulsars, neutron stars rotating at incredible speed and emitting regular radio pulses. Before FAST, all of humanity had discovered approximately 2,000 pulsars over several decades of observation. A single telescope nearly doubled the global catalog within a few years. FAST recorded repeating fast radio bursts, FRBs, from other galaxies. The nature of these signals remains a subject of scientific debate. Some astronomers attribute them to collisions of neutron stars, others to unknown physical processes. In the 15th five-year plan, China announced the creation of an even more powerful instrument, a distributed network of radio telescopes that in combination will surpass FAST in resolving power. One telescope was the first step. The next, a network. In March 2026, China's 15th five-year plan was officially presented to Parliament. It contains 28 new megaprojects. This means what today seems the most ambitious, in 5 years, will simply be an item on a completed checklist. China does not wait for the world to decide what is possible. It builds, and the world